Several manufacturers may produce single-pole switches with removable back covers and mounting wings, including Hubbell, also known as Bryant, Cooper Industries, and Leviton. When working with electrical components, always prioritize safety. If you are not comfortable with electrical work, consult a qualified electrician. Here is a general guide on how to install this type of switch. Firstly, remove the back cover. Using a flathead screwdriver, carefully remove the screws on the removable back cover. This allows access to the wiring terminals. Secondly, connect the wires. Insert the Romex wires into the clamps on the switch. Ensure that the black wire, which is the hot wire, is connected to the brass screw, and the white wire, which is typically the neutral wire, is connected to the silver screw. If there is a bare copper or green wire, this is the ground wire and should be connected to the green grounding screw on the switch if present. Thirdly, secure the switch to the wall. Fold the wings on the back of the switch and press them against the wall. Use a screwdriver to tighten screws on the base of the switch to secure it in place. Be careful not to over-tighten the screws, as this could damage the switch or the wall. Fourthly, install the faceplate. Place the switch faceplate over the switch and secure it with screws. Again, avoid over-tightening the screws. Before beginning any electrical work, it is crucial to turn off the power at the circuit breaker that supplies the circuit you will be working on. This is a critical safety precaution. Use a non-contact voltage tester to verify that the power is indeed off before touching any wires. If you are unsure which breaker controls the circuit, turn off the main breaker to the entire house. Always follow local electrical codes and regulations. Electrical codes are in place to ensure safety and prevent fires. Older homes may have wiring that does not meet current code standards. If you encounter any wiring issues or are unsure about the safety of the existing wiring, it is recommended to have a qualified electrician inspect the wiring and make any necessary repairs or upgrades. Some older wiring may use different color codes, so it's essential to identify the wires correctly before making any connections. If the wires are not clearly marked, consult an electrician. When connecting the wires, make sure the connections are secure. Loose connections can cause overheating and potentially lead to a fire. Use wire strippers to remove the insulation from the wires without damaging the copper conductors. Make sure that only the necessary amount of insulation is removed to create a secure connection. When inserting the wires into the clamps, ensure that the wire insulation is not pinched by the clamp, as this can damage the insulation and create a short circuit hazard. If the switch has screw terminals instead of clamps, wrap the wire around the screw in a clockwise direction. This ensures that the wire is pulled tighter as the screw is tightened. After making the connections, inspect them to ensure that there are no exposed wires that could come into contact with other wires or metal parts. Use electrical tape to insulate any exposed wires. When folding the wings on the back of the switch, be careful not to damage the wires or connections. Ensure that the wings are properly aligned with the wall before tightening the screws. If the wall is uneven, you may need to use shims to ensure that the switch is securely mounted. When installing the faceplate, make sure it is properly aligned with the switch. If the faceplate is not aligned, it can be difficult to operate the switch and may also look unsightly. After completing the installation, turn the power back on at the circuit breaker and test the switch to ensure that it is working properly. If the switch does not work, turn the power back off and recheck the wiring connections. If you are still unable to get the switch to work, consult an electrician. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous if not done properly. It is always better to be safe than sorry. If you have any doubts about your ability to perform the work safely, consult the qualified electrician. Electrical safety is paramount, and it's always best to seek professional help when needed. Understanding basic electrical principles is also helpful when working with electrical components. Voltage, amperage, and resistance are key concepts to understand. Voltage is the electrical potential difference between 2 points. It is measured in volts. Amperage is the rate of flow of electric charge. It is measured in amps. Resistance is the opposition to the flow of electric charge. It is measured in ohms. Ohm's law states that voltage is equal to current times resistance. Volts equals amps times ohms. Understanding these concepts can help you troubleshoot electrical problems and ensure that your electrical work is safe and effective. When working with electrical wiring, it's also important to be aware of the National Electrical Code, or NEC. The NEC is a set of standards for electrical wiring and equipment in the United States. It is updated every 3 years, and it is important to follow the latest edition of the NEC to ensure that your electrical work is code compliant. The NEC covers a wide range of topics, including wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and bonding. It also provides specific requirements for different types of electrical equipment and installations. Familiarizing yourself with the NEC can help you ensure that your electrical work is safe and code compliant. When working with Romex wiring, it's important to use the proper connectors and fittings. Romex connectors are designed to securely clamp the Romex cable to the electrical box, preventing the cable from being pulled out or damaged. Use the correct size connector for the size of the Romex cable. When installing Romex cable, avoid bending it sharply, as this can damage the insulation and create a short circuit hazard. The NEC specifies minimum bending radii for Romex cable. Also, be sure to protect the Romex cable from physical damage. Do not run Romex cable through sharp edges or where it could be easily damaged by nails or screws. When making connections in electrical boxes, be sure to leave enough slack in the wires to allow for easy connections and future maintenance. The NEC specifies minimum wire lengths for connections in electrical boxes. When working with electrical tools, use insulated tools to protect yourself from electric shock. Wear safety glasses to protect your eyes from flying debris. And always work in a well-lit area so that you can see what you are doing. If you are working on a circuit that is shared by other devices, such as lights or appliances, be sure to label the circuit breaker so that you know which breaker controls which devices. This can help you avoid accidentally turning off the wrong breaker in the future. When replacing an existing switch, take a picture of the wiring connections before disconnecting the old switch. This can help you remember how to connect the wires to the new switch. And be sure to turn off the power to the circuit before disconnecting the old switch. When working with electricity, it's always better to be cautious and take your time. Rushing the job can lead to mistakes and potentially dangerous situations. If you are unsure about any aspect of the electrical work, consult a qualified electrician. They have the knowledge and experience to ensure that the work is done safely and correctly. Also, keep in mind that different jurisdictions may have different electrical codes and regulations. Be sure to check with your local building department to determine the specific requirements for your area. Electrical codes are constantly evolving, so it's important to stay up to date on the latest changes. When working with electricity, safety should always be your top priority. By following these guidelines and taking the necessary precautions, you can help ensure that your electrical work is done safely and effectively. And remember, if you are ever in doubt, consult a qualified electrician. They can provide expert advice and assistance to help you complete your electrical project safely and successfully. If you encounter aluminum wiring in an older home, consult with a qualified electrician. Aluminum wiring requires special handling and connectors to prevent fire hazards. Copper is now the standard for modern wiring. The reason that the black wire is connected to the brass screw is because that is the hot or line side of the circuit. The white wire connects to the silver screw, as this is the neutral or return side of the circuit. The ground wire, if present, is connected to the green screw to provide a path for fault current to return to the source, tripping the circuit breaker and preventing electrical shock. The absence of electrical boxes in older homes presents a unique challenge. While the wing switches were designed for this type of installation, it's important to consider the long-term safety and code compliance. A qualified electrician can assess the situation and recommend solutions that meet current standards, such as installing electrical boxes or using alternative wiring methods. Remember that proper grounding is essential for electrical safety. Ensure that all grounding connections are secure and that the grounding system is properly connected to the main electrical panel. If you are unsure about the grounding system, consult an electrician. When working with electrical panels, be extremely cautious. Electrical panels contain high voltage and can be very dangerous. Never touch any bare wires or components inside the panel. If you need to work inside the panel, turn off the main breaker to the entire house and wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as insulated gloves and safety glasses. And if you are not comfortable working inside the panel, consult a qualified electrician. They have the training and experience to work safely inside electrical panels. Also, be aware of the potential for arc flash when working with electrical equipment. Arc flash is a dangerous electrical explosion that can cause serious burns and other injuries. To prevent arc flash, wear appropriate personal protective equipment and follow safe work practices. And if you are not trained in arc flash safety, consult a qualified electrician. They can provide arc flash training and assessments to help you protect yourself from this hazard. Lastly, ensure the switch is rated for the appropriate voltage and amperage for the circuit it will be used on. Most residential circuits are 120 volts or 240 volts. The switch should be rated for at least the voltage of the circuit. The amperage rating of the switch should be greater than or equal to the amperage of the circuit breaker protecting the circuit. This ensures the switch can handle the load without overheating.